Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another episode of the Chelsea Transfer Talk. As you can see, just myself. There will not be anybody joining this time, unfortunately, because it was all very short notice. Let me just see if I can push my chair back up a little bit. My apologies. Yeah, very short notice because Chelsea, out to absolutely nowhere, have seemingly signed Pedro Neto from Wolverhampton Wanderers for a fee of 60 million euros plus 3 million euros in add-ons. Out of absolutely nowhere, like what, 2 hours ago now, if that, Fabrice Hawkins, who's been very, very good in terms of Chelsea reporting over the last couple of years, came out that essentially Pedro Neto is moving to Chelsea, and everyone's like, what's happening? Next thing you know, Fabrizio Romano saying, well, we've got a player agreement, now there's club-to-club negotiations. Next thing you know, David Ornstein with the bombshell, with the Ornstein bomber, and all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, we get the Fabrizio Romano, here we go. And I don't know what to make of it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you're not new here, hit the like button and talk to me in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Just me today. So I want to vibe back and forth with you guys in the chat as much as possible. So give me your thoughts, give me your opinions. I will, of course, share mine, even though they're not like fully conclusive just yet because I haven't been able to do all the required background information, if that makes sense. But essentially, this is the big one. You know, I love Fabrizio, but, you know, when it's Ornstein, it's Ornstein. And this is what we got. Breaking. Chelsea reach agreement with Wolverhampton Wanderers to sign Pedro Neto fee, 60 million euros plus 3 million euros in add-ons. 24-year-old Portugal international winger set to undergo medical soon before completing transfer from Wolves to Chelsea. Yeah, he's supposedly already on his way to London. So that is fantastic. Supposedly we also beat Spurs to it, so that's good. I mean, nothing better than a close above your face on a Friday for my drive home. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, Stephen says, great signing, can play both sides. Yeah, that in my opinion is one of the best things about it. But before we get into the details about the player, can we quickly just talk about it? Shall I do this a bit differently? Can you still read it properly? I'm gonna go with this for now. You've all read it, I think. Can we just talk about how absolutely brilliant and beautiful to see it was that we made a signing and we didn't have a whole 3-month-long transfer saga beforehand? My God, I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, no one knew anything. Nobody had any clue what was happening. Nobody had any clue that we were even really interested. I mean, I know like Simon Phillips spoke about it a few weeks back, but you never know, right? Not having a go at Simon at all, but it's like, you just never know. A lot of people say a lot of things. You only really try to follow the most reliable news out there. And all of a sudden, in the space of 2 hours, we go from, okay, there's interest to, okay, here we go by Fabrizio and this by David Ornstein. Utterly unbelievable. Fire Red says, bro, the squad is back like how Potter had it. That's a whole separate issue. Although I do think that in the winger area is the one area where we actually did need someone, in my opinion. And I think in this position, we can't complain too much about adding another person because, I mean, right wing, if Cole Palmer, as is reported, will actually play centrally, first and foremost, then essentially Madueke is the only right winger we have. So, yeah, him being injury prone is a concern. That is a concern. We will get into that in a few minutes' time. Stephen also says, this is bad news for Mudryk and Sterling. Yeah, maybe. It's really difficult to judge. Obviously, Pedro Neto's main position is probably right wing, but he most definitely can play on both sides. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. It's a bit of a tricky one in that sense. Let me bring up a few more tweets here before we get into, well, I guess the thick of it and analyzing the player itself. So, where is it? Where is it? So this was essentially the first I heard of it. 2:54 my time. So that is just over 2 hours ago now. Major exclusive news through Pies, obviously, by Fabrice Hawkins. Pedro Neto is set to join Chelsea. And then obviously we got the Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. I'll read that one out for you as well. And I'll bring that one up for you guys on screen as well. Pedro Neto to Chelsea. Here we go. Wolves accept bid worth £60 million fixed fee plus 3 million euros in add-ons as almost matches initial price tag. Initial price tag is that initial price tag that Wolves bought him for. Fair enough. Neto's agent Nuno Mendes, or Menge, how you should pronounce it, I think in Portuguese, has agreed on personal terms with Chelsea. Medical tests booked for Pedro at Chelsea, with Wolves keen on Ajax Carlos Forbes. Yeah, there you go. I mean, give me your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, because I've seen a lot of different opinions on this one. A lot of people are ecstatic. Some people are just a bit meh. Some people are absolutely not happy at all. I am somewhere in the middle of very happy and meh. And there's a few reasons for that. Fire Red mentioned it in the chat, how injury prone he is. I'll bring up his injury record in a minute. How injury prone he is doesn't look amazing. I will say that. He's only played 2,000 minutes in one season of his career, and that was the one season where he got himself his bad injury at the end of that season. That was also the first season of his career where he played anywhere near as much. And since then, he's always had one or two major injuries in the season, stopping him from playing more. But then again, he still had, 11 goal contributions in 20 games last season, 18 of those being starts. It's not bad. Now, he's most certainly not first and foremost a goal scorer. He's most certainly more of a creator than he is a goal scorer. Did we need that? I don't know. Well, we'll get to another bit of news in terms of is Chelsea done the signing players in a little bit. But yeah, certainly more of a creator than a goal scorer. Then again, could obviously, hopefully, still improve his goal scoring. But yeah, there you go. Let's bring up his transfer market profile, and we can look at the injuries, we can look at what he's done so far, we can look at a few various things. Let me just make the screen a little bit bigger. That was not it. This is it. So now you can actually see what I'm looking at. So I assume you've all heard of him, right? And that is one of the things I like about it, because compared to most signings Chelsea have made this transfer window, we've actually all heard of the player before. So that's something. I do enjoy that. Let me just see if I'm not missing something important while I'm live here. No, I'm not. So yeah, Pedro Neto, we all know him, obviously born on the 9th of March in 2000, 24 years old. Isn't it mental? People born in 2000 are 24 years old. That boggles my mind. Anyway, so not super young, but also not old. So kind of fits what we need. Has a number of years as Premier League experience. So that's a positive, I suppose. Like I say, main position, right winger. But when we look at his positions down here, left winger, right winger here as well. I can bring up another website, for example, on FotMob. They show him as potentially being available in even more various positions, which is obviously interesting. Another thing to mention is that he's left-footed. Can you even see that? Left-footed again. That's another one of my concerns. We spoke about being injury-prone, and now we speak about being left-footed again. Let's not forget, next season, so in less than a year's time, we've got Estevao Willian and Kendrick Payers both joining the club. Obviously, we've already signed them, some of them for big money. Both of them left-footed. We've obviously got Cole Palmer who's left-footed. We've got Noni Madueke who's left-footed. Do we have anybody else that's left-footed? I don't actually know which foot Omorodion is, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, he's left-footed as well. So a lot of left-footers in our attack. Cole Palmer, of course, I'm not sure if I've mentioned him. So a lot of left-footers in our attack, which is a tad much, but because Pedro Neto cannot only play on the right, say like a Noni Madueke, who you really wouldn't want to play a left wing, would you? Pedro can play on both sides. Yeah, Angelo. But I'll be honest, mate, as much as and Mauro said it as well, as much as I like Angelo, and in particular last summer, rated him, the way Chelsea are treating players, I don't really see Angelo ever being much part of the first team at all, if I'm being perfectly honest. So, yeah, make of that what you will. Austin says, I love it. Injury history is a little concerning, but he is going to help us so much, going to be more consistent with final third decisions, making them Misha, Sterling, and Noni, in my opinion. Yeah, that would be good. Diego Moreira, is he left-footed too? Honestly, didn't even know. Second of all, don't really care. Like, again, he's another one. He will never play for us, seriously, will he? He's just bought in to be sold for profit. At least it's someone half known, Ejnaku says. Definitely better than another teenager for £50 million. Standards low, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like I say, I'm caught somewhere in between very happy and meh and whatever else you want to call it. Fire Red says that money spent, they could have gone for Nico, meaning Nico Williams. That's the weird part about it. Like, we're paying more for Pedro Neto now than Bayern paid for Olise. We are paying more for Pedro Neto now, or at least not far off what Nico Williams would have got. We are paying more for for Pedro Neto now, or roughly the same as we would have had to pay for Osimhen on a permanent transfer if we give Napoli Lukaku at the same time. So I'm a little bit confused now. I'm sure the wages will probably be a bit better than of the other guys, and a little bit less, so therefore, more easily affordable. But still, it's a little bit weird. And sure, even if you say Neto is better than Nico, judging by our transfer movement, Nico was still ahead in our personal wish list. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone for him first, or gone for him is in Nico Williams' case is maybe a bit of a exaggeration, but we were certainly interested in holding a few talks before we started talking to Pedro Neto. So make of that what you will. It's a tricky one. His injury record is the only problem. Yeah, his injury record is the problem. I mean, Nico Williams obviously had a fantastic Euros, right? And a lot of people got hyped in that, as rightly so. But we also have to think about that Nico Williams scored the same amount of league goals as Mykhailo Mudryk last season and played a lot more minutes than Mykhailo Mudryk last season. So was Nico Williams? Is he a bit more of a Euros hype? I don't know. Like, Athletic Bilbao are not the best team in Spain for sure, but they're a good team, so they could have done a bit more. Adam says, bring me Osimhen and a quality centre-back and we're locked for top 4. You're not getting a quality centre-back anymore, unfortunately, Ro. But I appreciate the attempt. I appreciate the, trying. Robert Sanchez, don't even talk to me, man. Arjun says, wages is the reason Nico is on 200k. Neto is no 50, 60k. At Chelsea or at Wolves? Because I very much doubt that Pedro Neto is coming to Chelsea on 50 to 60k. I very, very, very much doubt that. I'm just saying. Obviously, each their own. And Adam is replying with crying emojis, me talking about Mudryk having the same amount of goals as Nico Williams. So again, make of it. Yeah, no, absolutely. And in terms of being compared to Nico Williams, absolutely. Like, he's already on very high wages at Bilbao. Actually, I think it might even be higher than the 200k you've just mentioned there. So that is most certainly part of the reason why we didn't go for him, because wages is where we are arguably more, or definitely more strict than we are with transfer fees. But even still, like, again, going back to Elise, he's only 220k at Bayern now. His brother is already in the academy. We already tried to buy him last year. Like, it just feels like we stinged out. But who knows? Who knows? Am I much more happy with... Would I have been much more happy with Elise compared to Neto? Probably a little bit. But the injury problems, they both have. So, make of that what you will. But, let's, before we get into the injury record, let's get into, like, his stats across all seasons, okay, that he's played. So he's obviously been at Wolves for quite a while. He initially played at Braga, but he was signed from Braga. Actually, let me go to a page before just quickly to look at his transfer, like, moves. I didn't even know he played for Lazio. What the flip? All right. Well, he started, obviously, he's Portuguese. So he started in Portugal, some smaller clubs in Portugal, going to Braga, where he obviously, became a professional, I guess, then went on loan to Lazio, then was signed by Lazio for 11 million euros. And then Lazio sold him to Wolves for 18 million euros. And now we're paying 60 million euros. So that's quite a lot. When you look at it here, in 111 Premier League games, he's got 11 goals, 20 assists. It's not amazing. It's not amazing, but obviously this stat here doesn't quite show how many of those were, starts and not starts in the Serie A. He's played 4 games. I don't quite know how or why Lazio decided to buy him then for 11 million with this record here. But yeah, he's most certainly only kind of really come to the forefront of things at Wolves, but obviously he's 24 now, and Wolves signed him in 2019. So that's 5 years ago. So Wolves already signed him at 19. So you can't really question that he wasn't particularly great beforehand. Maybe you can question he wasn't particularly great since with this output. Like I said earlier, certainly more of a creative outlet than he is a goal-scoring outlet. But yeah, I just joined. So you may have answered this already, Laurenz, but what do you rate our current window out of 10? Ooh, I haven't answered this. This is a tricky one. Now, until Pedro Neto, I would have given it a solid 2 out of 10. If that. I think I'm being nice if I say 2 out of 10. With Pedro Neto, give it a 3, maybe a 4. So, I mean, I'm still not happy. I still think we made our squad worse. We replaced Thiago Silva, one of the best defenders in history, with Tosin. We're getting rid of Chalobah to replace him with worse players. We failed to get rid of all the important players that we needed to actually get rid of. We still have Petrovic. We still have Chilwell, who they don't know what to do with. And we signed so many unnecessary players, including Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. So I'm not particularly gassed yet, but this one certainly does make it a little bit better. I don't care about who will buy. I want top 4. That's all. If we don't, I'm blaming the sport directors. Well, I agree with the last bit. If we don't get it, blame the sport directors. But I personally think this is not healthy for you as a fan to expect top 4, and if you don't get it, lose your mind. I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. I think we can get top 4 this season. Don't get me wrong. I think we can. But I don't think the likelihood is that big. Now, sure, maybe Pedro Neto increases that likelihood by ever so slightly. But I don't think, like, definitively. So it's a tricky one. But yeah, so let's go back into his seasons. Last season, he played 1,500 minutes, so not awful at least, but 1,500 minutes, 20 games in total, 2 goals, 9 assists. Hey, not awful. You add to that the FA Cup, of course, in 4 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. So I guess that gives him a total of 11 assists and 3 goals. So a total of 14 goal contributions in 24 games this past season, because he spent a bit of it out injured as well. The season before, spent a bit of that out injured as well. Not a great season, not a lot of minutes, not a lot of games, not a lot of goal contributions. So that's a bit disappointing. The season before that, 13 games, again, quite a few injuries. Because at the very end of this season, as you can see, 31 games here, he played pretty much every game that season, 5 goals, 6 assists. Still pretty young then. You got to think he was 21 at the time. But then got himself a serious knee injury at the end of that season, which is why he played so little the next season. So let's go to let me zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the injury history, shall we? Because that is probably the most concerning thing. So injury history. Let me see if I've got any more comments that I've not talked about yet. 4 out of 10. Oof. To me, that left winger was dying. This probably makes it a 6 or 7. Maybe, but first of all, are you really that sure he's going to play left wing? Because I'm not. I mean, he could, but I'm really not that 1,000% sure on it. Because then you have Pedro Neto, Mudryk, and Sterling for the left wing, and only Maresca for the right wing. Now, sure, I'm sure multiple players will be used to multiple sides, and maybe Cole Palmer will still be used on the wing, even though it has been reported that Maresca will more prefer to use him centrally as one of the number 8s. So yeah, whole left side was dead, to be honest. I mean, kind of true, but don't get too excited just yet. I mean, Jamie says the club is changing. We have to accept that clear leg players are a way to make profit long. Long gone are the days where we buy players to win things, unfortunately. While I agree, I don't think this signing applies to this, because if I'm being honest, I'm not sure about the likelihood of us making profit on Pedro Neto. Like, he would have to now remain almost completely injury-free and make a significant step up in terms of output compared to what he's had at Wolves to really get us much of a profit if we ever sell him. But obviously, only time will tell. But in general, I agree. Do I have to accept that? Debatable. But yeah, we'll get to it. Adam says, might be stockpiling to prepare for a mean transfer ban. See, this is what I'm thinking. And especially yesterday when we announced the signing of Mike Penders, obviously the Belgian goalkeeper from Genk, who will loan him straight back to Genk, meaning we use up one of our 6 international loan spots, which sounds a bit stupid. Instead of just do a pre-deal like we did for, say, Pulisic. Actually for Pulisic, say for Gusto. Like you did a deal in January for the summer. Because Pulisic, we actually fully signed the loan back, didn't we? So it's not quite the same. But why didn't we do that off on Kunku, right? Why, I don't get why we didn't do that. I think that would have been a bit smarter, personally. But hey, here we are. But absolutely, I also think there could be a transfer ban looming, because otherwise, like, I'm just trying to find logic in what they're trying to do. Again, I'm not really sure this applies to Pedro Neto now, but in the grand scheme of things, absolutely can be talked about, spoke about, thought about as a potential outcome. Kevin says 4 windows, 5 big signings: Enzo, Caicedo, Mudryk, Cucurella, and Neto. Well, you forgot Sterling, first and foremost, who also cost, 50 odd million in pounds. So really not far off Pedro Neto at all. Very similar, if anything. Who else did we sign for fairly big money? I guess Koulibaly was fairly expensive. Obviously, got rid of him already again. And Kunku, by the way, you're forgetting, Kevin, he cost over 60 million. He cost more than Pedro Neto. Did we forget anybody else? Lavia, 60 million. He cost more than Pedro Neto as well. Yeah, that's it in terms of the bigger signings. But yeah, there you go. Let's take a look at the injury record. Let's go back, right? 17-18. He was at Lazio at the time. Obviously, okay, missed him 9 games, but it's a knock. It happens. The same the season after. It's a knock. Missed 14 days, 5 games. It's a bit unlucky to be out for 14 days and miss 5 games anyway. Then his first injury at Wolves was a calf injury. Not particularly long one. 3 weeks. Missed 6 games for Portugal and Wolves. Bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Just a small knock, only missed 3 games. Then the next season and the season after that, he had a muscle injury that kept him out for 3 days, missed 1 game. So essentially no injury in that season. But then it gets a bit more serious. Like I told you about at the very, very end of, I think, this season, or was it the end of this season? I think it might have been at the end of this season. He picked up a knee injury on the 12th of April. And then he was out until the 30th of February, the 3rd of February 2022. So nearly 300 days, missed 52 games in total, even though obviously his injury span across that summer. Part of it, obviously, the Euros as well. That summer, the 2021 Euros that took place, well, all across Europe with the finals in London. An ankle injury the year after, 127 days. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Like, it's football. Like, I don't think you can call someone injury prone for having one knee injury and one ankle injury. Like, it happens. It's a contact sport. It doesn't mean you're necessarily injury prone. It doesn't mean you're necessarily this or you're necessarily that. It can happen. I don't know whether it happened in training or in games. Regardless of where it happened, it can happen. Last season, though, 2 major hamstring injuries. One for 58 days, one for 67 days. So that's 2 months. That's over 2 months. That's quite a lot for 2 hamstring injuries. That smells of Reece James. Do you know what I mean? Like, this, you've had 11 games missed with the first one, 12 games missed with the second one. That's not ideal, is it? It's not ideal. So really, that's the dodgy, that's the question mark around this signing. Will he be able to stay fit? I personally, and Fofana, Luka is another one of the big signings, absolutely. If Pedro Neto can and does stay fit, wrong thing again, sorry, can and does stay fit, I think he will be a really good player for us. I like that he's able to play on both sides. I like how direct he is. I like how creative he is. I like how good his dribbling is. But, like, obviously Maresca is pretty good dribbling and is direct, but Pedro Neto has just got more of that kind of, well, I want to say Brazilian, but obviously he's Portuguese, but, you know, kind of Brazilian flair, which I do think our squad misses a little bit. Like, it's all about, like, physical prowess and everything and not just skill and ability. And I'm not saying the squad should be full of that, but there should be a bit of that. And Cole Palmer obviously has it, but in a very different, almost in an English kind of way. And Pedro Neto brings that in a slightly different format, I would say. Eric says, if he stays fit, he'll be a very good player for us. I like this one. End product, I don't know what you mean with end product in terms of, do you mean he needs to improve it or what? He has end product. I'm not sure if he necessarily has it. He has good assists, but for the assists to be assists, you need someone to put them in. And in this preseason alone, you had plenty of situations where, well, either the last pass was bad and that's why we didn't score, or the last pass was even decent, but then the run of the striker wasn't good. So don't be too confident on it. Max P, hello Max, hope you're well. He says, so now we will sell one of Sterling and Wooding. No, we won't. We will not be doing that. Maybe we'll sell Sterling next year when Esteban, Willian and Kendrick Perez join. But even then, I wouldn't be 1,000% sure on that, if I'm being perfectly honest, because good luck selling Sterling. And I just don't think the owners will want to sell Mudryk for the kind of price that we're going to get for him unless he has a breakout season. If he has a breakout season, we won't want to sell him anyway. And if he doesn't have a breakout season, what will you get for him? 30 million max? And do they want to sell him for a loss of over 30 million? I very, very, very much doubt that personally. But obviously, each to their own. He has end product better than Madueke, I guess, is what you're saying. I mean, a little bit, but not that much better either, I'll be honest. Showing assist, maybe, but that obviously all depends on which side they play on and everything else. I assume Madueke would probably have a better assist record if you played on the left, because then he constantly have to cross. But because he always plays on the right, he way too often goes for goal, or if he tries to assist something, it's with his worst right foot, and he usually messes up the cross or the pass. Maru says, I remember his goal when Lampard was a coach. Absolutely, like he killed us on a couple of occasions. So yeah, I mean, guys, put it in the chat. Is the injury record that you can see on screen? Let me make it a bit bigger for you again. Is it concerning enough to make the signing a worry? Because I will say 60 million euros, more expensive than, well, a lot of players, let's say that. Like, I just think it's like, I don't mind the player. I like the player. When fit, I really like the player. But first of all, obviously the question of how often is he fit? How long is he fit for? But also 60 million for someone this injured, for someone with 11 goals in 111 Premier League games, sure, 20 assists, but even 20 assists in 111 games isn't like that amazing. So let me know what you make of it. We'll get into a little bit of Osimhen chat in a minute as well, Lyndon. I'm not going to be here for much longer. I have other stuff going on tonight. I just had to quickly pop out this stream because breaking news, Chelsea signed someone. First of all, we didn't hear anything about it beforehand, and also someone that we've heard of before. So it's already exciting purely from that perspective. But yeah, let me know what you make of the injury record, because it's really, really difficult for me. I want to bring up two thoughts that I've seen on Twitter of people that a lot of you might know of as well. It's a tough one. Eric says, it is concerning, but when a player like that is available, you take him. Fair enough. Adam says, Neto, Osimhen, Palmer with Nkunku number 10. I'm getting aroused. And, well, unfortunately, either we'll play 2 number 10s or none, whichever way you want to look at it. This channel will find a negative with everything. Will it? Like, I didn't create the injury history. This is his actual injury history. So I really don't know what you're on about. I really don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to sit here and say, amazing, we like just be amazed and happy about everything that happens? No, I have to try to objectively analyze the situation. And I try. If you think I'm doing it too negatively, my apologies, mate. But I try. And that's why I'm here, to get your opinions in. So instead of being a smart ass and talking about this channel will find a negative with everything, why don't you elaborate why you don't see a negative with the signing? Just tell me that, put it in the chat, and we can discuss, and maybe you'll change my mind. How about that, mate? Just be a bit more nice, be a bit more friendly, be a bit less toxic. How about that? Just a suggestion. Vic says, what are we getting from £66 million Mudryk and 55 million injury-free Sterling? It is what it is, Laurenz. Neto is a fantastic signing. Well, whether I agree or disagree with you, there's two things. Like with Sterling, it's Sterling has to be happy with leaving because someone has to give him roughly the same wages, otherwise he won't. So it's not just like you can play their whole game with, like you did with Gallagher, and force him out, or with Chalobah and force them in under 21s. But you're not doing that with someone earning 325k a week. You're not doing that. I mean, we did it with Lukaku, but something really bad has to happen for you to do that. Really bad has to happen for you to do that. That's the problem with Sterling, and that's for Mudryk. I just don't think the club, the owners, will be willing to make as much of a loss and selling him soon, purely from that perspective. Aqua asks, do you think Neto will be a guaranteed starter? Ooh, difficult question. I would say no, but I would say possibly come September. Because to start with, I don't quite think so. Maybe he'll be given a chance against Inter already. We'll have to wait and see. And obviously, the last friendly before the season starts. Otherwise, I think he'll be on the bench to start with. Maybe he'll start the Conference League qualifier, whoever we play against. I think the first leg between Braga and Servette, and Chelsea will play the loser of that game. The first leg of that, and 0-0. So yeah, let's see who we face there. I think could start that. But yeah. Kevin says his decision making and crossing on the right wing is surely better than Madueke. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. He's left-footed. I've seen quite a bit of Neto, but never like with particular focus on like how good is he, right? I've mostly watched it when Chelsea have played against Wolves. And he's always looked fantastic, a dribbler, but I don't really necessarily have him in mind whether he's great on his weak foot, he has great cross of his right foot or whatever. So I'm not going to sit here and make an assumption or a conclusion on that. Adam, thank you for backing me up at least, bro. What was negative? I don't know. Facts are what? I don't know. Yeah, Neto has to be a guaranteed start 1,000%. You really, but from day one, like I do think he will be, but yeah, I think Sterling will start on the left, and I think Madueke will start on the right to start with, and then it will be about form, in my opinion. Cigar, doubling down on having a go at me. He says you wanted experienced players as well. We did that. Did we? Okay. Okay. Well, you see how much time he spent injured. So he missed essentially all of last season injured. Well, no, that's an exaggeration. He still played 20 games. He missed at least a third of the season before with injury. And the season before that, he also missed nearly all of it with injury because of how bad of an injury it was. And when I go back to the minutes and experienced players, well, he's played a total of, 20 plus 18 is 38, plus 13 is 51, plus 31 is 82. So he's played 82 Premier League games. Oh, and actually more. Plus adds, I'm not good at quick maths, am I? 91 plus 20, 111. I knew that already. I'm an idiot. So he's played 111 Premier League games. It is experience, absolutely. Let's not get it twisted. He's certainly on a different scale to a lot of the other players we've signed. But let's also not sit here and just pretend that he's super experienced. It's a bit like when people did that with Tosin, just because he played 3 years in the Championship and 3 years at Fulham and 3 years in the Premier League. he still has the experience of playing at Wolves, essentially in a relegation fight and 1 or 2 seasons in a Europa League spot, right? And under insanely negative football under Nuno Santos initially. But still, Laurenz, are you against using the last international loan spot? Yes, I am, because I think Mudryk is too old to be using a loan on him. He's 23. Either he does it now or he's just done. Like, you're not. What are you doing with a loan at 23? Like, you're either already making it or you're not. I don't think a loan is it. Maresca can't cross, bro. We actually don't want to pass. He thinks he's Robin. Yeah, on his right foot, I agree. I think on his left foot he can pass. But yeah, the guy has barely played in the past 4 years. He has potential, but ATP is not good enough. At this point, I think ATP means he's not good enough to start, and he needs more reps. You would loan? Well, no, definitely don't loan. That'd be silly. Wait, are you talking about Mudryk or you're talking about Neto now? I'm not 100%. Is there a perfect player out there? It's a difficult question. Probably not. It depends on the price, right? If you're paying a lot of money, then maybe there is the perfect player out there. If you're not paying a lot of money, there is probably not the perfect player out there. Otherwise, you would be paying more money. 1 second. I'll have the camera back on in just a minute. He and Samu Omorodion, Lyndon asks, done their medicals. On Omorodion, I'm not sure. As far as we know, Pedro is traveling to London today and having his medical today. So let's see how that one goes. Let me bring up a couple of tweets from a few people. Let me start with a positive one, with Felix. Obviously, he usually knows what he's talking about when it comes to the players. He was talking about like he wanted either Olise or Pedro Neto as a winger months ago. So fair play to him, I guess. Those two we tried. He now says, I'm so happy we're signing Pedro Neto. Injuries is obviously the issue, and there's no way around that. I spoke on playback quite a few times that he would be the perfect profile, but it would be disingenuous to call for us to sign him given his injuries. But now that he is here, we'll just have to wait and see with the injuries and just have to talk about the player. He's absolutely perfect. I've said quite a few times that a right wing is more important than a left wing, and Neto covers both perfectly. That's my favorite bit about it as well, aside from keeping it as quiet as we did, that he covers both sides really well. Naturally a right winger, but so comfortable on the left because he's such a direct dribbler. He's the prototype for a 1v1 touchline winger and will fit Maresca perfectly. His dribbling and directness and pace is a joke. Loves cutting onto his left, but he's great at getting to the byline and coming back, which gets him lots of assists. Not the finished article. Hopefully can add more goals, but apart from that, it's just the injuries he needs to avoid, and we should be able to manage him well with our squad. That is another thing to say. Obviously, at Wolves, once he is back fit, at Wolves will play him straight away because he's one of their standout, if not the standout player that Wolves have had over the last 2 years, right, in terms of talent in particular. At Chelsea, and I'm sure he's still one of the standout players in terms of talent at Chelsea as well, but we still have more options. So when players come back from injury, like obviously someone much earlier in the chat said we essentially have as huge a squad now as we did under Potter, and that was a problem. And it's true. And obviously we had Champions League at the time, but now we have Conference League, and we also have the Club World Cup coming up next summer. So we've got a season, if we do half decently, we've got a season coming up with 65 to 75 games. That's a lot of games. So you're going to need a lot of players. But still, yeah, it is. Okay, you're talking about Misha. Yeah, I mean, I get you, but I still think it's too late for a loan. Wait, who's playing left wing according to Felix, lad? Jackson. No, I think to Felix, I think Pedro is going to play right wing, left wing initially. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Madueke being our right winger is necessarily the problem. I think Madueke is decent. If he can hit some form, and if he can get enough game time to do the improvement that his ability allows for, I think Madueke could be good. The problem is only having Madueke as the only player for that position. And then you can either play Neto instead of Madueke, or you can play Madueke on the right, where he's played nearly every minute of every preseason game, or you play Neto on the left. Do you know what I mean? What number do you think he'll be? That's a good question. I don't know. What numbers are available? I don't know. Who took the 17? Doesn't Carney have the 17? I wouldn't be surprised if Carney gets loaned out or sold still this summer now, because even though Carney's obviously not a winger, so Pedro Neto doesn't directly impact Carney. I think because it makes it so clear that Palmer will play centrally, and we signed Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, and we're using Nkunku not on the wing, and not likely not at striker either, but as one of the 8, I don't see when Carney Chukwuemeka will ever get game time, so he's probably getting loaned out or sold. And if that happens in time before Neto chooses a number, probably the 17, but I'm also not 100% sure. He doesn't want to pass. Yeah, maybe not, but also give it a bit of time. I mean, Maresca preferred Palmer on the wings. Reports said that Maresca is likely to play Parma centrally rather than on the wing, because I mean, he put him on the wing in academy days, but obviously I don't know which central players he had at the time, and I'm sure Parma did a surprising step since then a little bit. So yeah, I mean, he could still play him on the wing, but the way Maresca sees his wingers, pacey, direct, touchline wingers, staying wide, that's not Parma. Parma wants to come inside. Parma wants to get the ball. Parma wants to create. Parma wants to be involved. It just suits way more to be one of the attacking number eights, than it does being a winger in the system, in my opinion anyway. Lyndon asks, I hope this helps Mudryk in the way that he wants to be in the starting 11. Not sure quite how this will help Mudryk, but hey, who knows? I do want to bring up another tweet now. This was very positive now from Filip Jörgensen, and now we look at a very different perspective from Alex, your expert. Now, his initial reaction to the David Ornstein tweet was, I'm sorry, what is going on? 1 minute they look to be doing an interesting deal for Osimhen. Next, Chelsea are spending £50 million on a winger who's missed over 100 games since April 2021. And that is concerning. Yeah, we looked at experience, 111 Premier League games already, but he's been here for 5 years. They signed him in 2019. Now we've got 2024. So yeah, he's already done 5 seasons in the Premier League, and he's only played 111 games. If you do a theory of 5 times 38, well, 5 times 30 is 150. 5 times 8 is 30. Is it? No. What the fuck? 5 times 8. How much is 5 times 8? 40. No, not 30. 40. That makes more sense. So that would add you to 170 possible games, and he's played 111 of those. So it doesn't actually sound that bad. Did I mess up in my calculations? Maybe. Regardless, I'm muffling. Oh no, I didn't add enough. 200. I'm an idiot. My apologies, guys. 150, I said, didn't I? Not 120 that I added. The 82. So 230 games, and he played 111. Yeah, he says, I get a winger may be needed, but is Neto really the best option? Now, Alex followed that up then and said, this was my immediate reaction to Neto. What I'd say in defense of it is when fit, he's a really devastating player, especially creatively. Can play on both sides too. There's not many wide options in the brackets between the likes of Doué and Somerville and Leao and Kvaratskhelia, who are kind of like the lower end and the higher end, i.e. the 40 to 70 million pound range. But 100 plus games missed since April 2021 is a massive concern. I think this is a huge financial gamble, one I personally wouldn't have gone near. So that's the perspective from a neutral who's not a Chelsea fan. Like I say, I'm more on the optimistic scale. I put in my group chat with the guys like Pice and Lewis and these guys. I put like, how happy are you out of 1 to 10 about the signing? I initially said 7. I'm somewhere between a 6 and a 7. That's what I am. So I'm actually not negative. So, but thanks for still pretending that I am for some weird reason. But yeah, Alex isn't 1,000% sold on it. So yeah, make of it what you will. I'm not going to sit here and be buzzingly excited because, excuse me, for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't think it's positive for him and for Chelsea if we get too excited and put too much pressure and too much hope on him. We saw how that goes with Nkunku, and Pedro Neto is nowhere near the level of Nkunku. And then you get an injury, and then you're waiting for him, and then you're like, okay, when he's back, then we'll finally be good because he's going to save everything. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm happy about it. I'm looking forward to seeing him play for us, but I don't think we should be all crazy excited, but I also don't think we should be super negative. Alex also texted me, you're an expert, that is, and yeah, his texts were arguably more negative than what he texted me like on here, which is what he put on Twitter. I don't want to show you necessarily what he said, but I'll read it out to you. He's just texted me kind of like, I don't know where it is. He says, listen, I don't mean to be negative. However, Pedro Neto has only managed 2,000 league minutes in a season once. Want to guess what season that was? The one where he injured his knee at the end. That was his first season in his entire career as a guaranteed starter. You're spending 60 million euros on someone who's played 1,000 minutes less than Jeremy Doku, who's 2 years younger than him. And he's also, and I said, to be fair, with how many players we have, even if he does stay fit, he probably won't get the 2,000 minutes. So that's one way of looking at it. But then Alex says, this is kind of my point. This isn't just a case of someone who got injured because he was overplayed. The only time he played properly is when he got injured. I'm pretty bullish in Chelsea. I think the season will be good. I've liked previous signings, Fernandez, Caicedo, and Nkunku. Injury issues, but still nice. Not part of the let's just laugh at Chelsea brigade. Honestly, think it's just a really bad idea. Whichever way you cut it, you've signed another injury-prone player for a big fee. But yeah, he also says, surely you sell one of your wingers. I doubt that personally. So yeah, he's not fully sold on it. And he even calls Neto a 0.5 player rather than saying we have 4 wingers now, because he's injured so much that you can't even really see him as a full player, which I think is a bit harsh. But hey, it's still the perspective of a non-Chelsea fan. So make of that what you will. I don't know quite how much he's obviously followed Wolves and stuff, but, you know, Alex works with Athletic. He usually knows what he's on about roughly. So let's get to the last bit before I finish off this stream that I do. Oh, two last bits. Actually, the first one I want to bring up is by Nizar Kinsella, by Pys through Nizar Kinsella. And Nizar Kinsella said, Chalobah and Dutch Fofana was discussed in a swap before a straight cash bid was accepted. Chelsea are believed to have 3 bids rejected for Neto privately before a deal was struck. So it was certainly not we only decided to buy him yesterday, or we only decided to buy him 2 days ago. Just because no one heard about it doesn't mean we didn't try for a little while. We tried to give them Chalobah. I don't know if they didn't want Chalobah, if Chalobah didn't want them. We tried to give them Dutch Fofana. That didn't work out either. In the end, it was a straight cash deal. It is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, at least it tells us when, you know, at least it tells us we didn't sign him yesterday, or we didn't decide to sign him yesterday. No one's negative, mate. It's basic discussion. Yes. Thank you, Asianaku. Appreciate it. I hope to see him versus City. I do. I expect off the bench, but I do too. And Vic says, where was Alex when we signed Palmer for 45 million? Yeah, probably also one of those. But that's the problem, right? Like your Palmer type signings, they will come off once in 5, once in 10. You can talk about data-driven approach and scouts and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, no one expected Palmer to be this good. I'm even sure that even Joe Shields, who's the guy that knew Palmer best, didn't expect Palmer to be this good. But obviously, it could go this way. But Palmer wasn't insanely injury-prone or very injury-prone before we signed him. Do you know what I mean? Pulisic was that. And was he at Chelsea? Still injury-prone. Was he even that injury-prone at Dortmund, Pulisic? To be fair, maybe I'm doing him a disservice. I think he might have only become injury-prone at Chelsea. Ola Tumbosun. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm going to call you Samson. Why is Chelsea always making me hate the club more and more? I guess after this season, if Chelsea does not make top 4, I'm just going to bow out and go for another team instead. Yeah, sorry, bro. I can't respect you. If you say you're just going to stop following Chelsea and just be a football fan without a team to support, fair. If this is making you do this, fair enough. Who am I to judge? But picking another team, disgraceful behavior. It means you've never been a proper Chelsea fan in the first place. So anyway, Mudrik bye-bye. I don't think so. Not yet anyway. You're not a real fan then if you're switching teams because you might not make the 400. Yeah, exactly. You're not a real fan. Now, like I say, if you just want to turn your back on Chelsea because of how it's run, I honestly even understand. But you can't pick another team then. That's not how it should be happening, in my opinion, anyway. And then I move over to a last bit of interesting news before we round this one out in a minute. Fabrizio Romano also tweeted, but also said on his playback stream, Chelsea could still be active on offensive player market, even after Neto and Omorodion. Osimhen plans to leave Napoli, but no intention to reduce salary or accept a straight loan. So I still think that Osimhen doesn't happen, but we'll see. Chelsea still keen, only in case deal conditions Osimhen stance changes, as Napoli insist for Lukaku. So this is the interesting part, that we still want an attacker. It might not be Osimhen, but yeah, Vic, like I just said, I don't really feel like it will, because I just feel like we're in a position now where it would be a bit silly to sign him at this point. Like, we were desperate. Like, I'm not saying Omorodion solves all our issues, or Guiu does, but how many more strikers do you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just gets a bit silly. Now, I obviously I would happily take a loan, and then you see how Osimhen works for us, and then you can make a decision of whether it's worth signing him or not. That seems a safe bet. Why not? Absolutely no problem doing that. But if you sign him permanently straight away for big money or big wages, and then you're kind of ruining Jackson's development, or you have to force him out on the left wing where the manager doesn't really see him, you have absolutely no need for Omorodion or Guiu, then I don't get it. But hey, here we are. Nehemiah, sorry if I butcher your name. He says, it's madness. I think Chilwell and Broja will soon go. Yeah, 100%. Well, with Chilwell, I don't know if anyone will want him. Again, he's on big wages, which I'm not sure anyone will cover or will want to, offer him with the injury record that Chilwell has had. Broja, I'm honestly surprised he's still here, and I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long to get him to go somewhere. But hey, this is what it is. Let me just change this one again. Oh, Kevin says, if this guy gets injured, we still have solid options on the winger roles. That's why Maresca specifically said he needed more versatile players. Well, I guess, but you're still not going to be happy if you have too many injured players, will you? So I guess that's that. I like Neto, but annoyed now because probably no Osimhen. We keep the strikers we got and stack the wingers instead. I need to see outgoings now. Squad is big enough for 3 teams. Yeah, see, I disagree that we should have gone for a striker first and foremost, purely because I think Osimhen is good, but Osimhen is not anywhere near as good as his wages command him to be. Like, for the wages that Osimhen wants, he needs to be like a Diego Costa level of good and get a Diego Costa level of goals, or better. And he won't do that, in my opinion, for us. Like, sure, you can say, oh, yeah, Kvaratskhelia wasn't that good. Napoli wasn't that good overall. We're not that good overall. We're not that good. Like, we're decent, but we're not that good. So don't expect Osimhen for us to get the goals that he did for Napoli in their title-winning season, because we're not as good as Napoli were in their title-winning season. So, yeah, I still think that Osimhen just asks way too much money. It's not even about the transfer fee for me. I just think he asks way too much money, and this just screams another Lukaku situation that somehow doesn't work out, and then we're stuck with him, or a Sterling situation. Even if he tries his best and does decently, yeah. So that's why on a loan, and then he can prove whether it's what he's worth it. Sure. Permanently straight away, I actually think we're better off just sticking with Jackson, personally. I genuinely believe that. Another season, if Jackson doesn't work out, or if Jackson doesn't take another step, sure, then buy another player to play ahead of Jackson. But Jackson deserves a second season for me. But yeah, Mason season, I need to see outgoing squad is now big enough for 3 teams, 100%. Need to see outgoings ASAP. And it's just the same thing as every year. And when I say this, every year, not just under the new ownership, all ownerships. Big teams in England struggle to sell players because the only teams that have big money are English teams, who and especially our big rivals, we don't want to sell to them quite often. If we do sell to them, we sell to them for higher prices, which means also those teams are less likely to be down to pay it. So we've always struggled with that. So let's see how the outgoings go. Vic says, so wages got Neto's deal across the line over Olise. The problem is not the transfer fee. Yeah, no, exactly. Well, it could have just been Olise. We still don't know whether we were beaten by Bayern in terms of wages or anything, or whether Olise just decided, I actually prefer Bayern to Chelsea, which both is possible. I just don't know. Mason then says, yeah, fair point. I don't mind. Just wanted the shirt seller a bit of inspiration. Not seen that so far. Shirt seller. Yeah, I mean, I get that. But at the same time, I feel like if you get a shirt seller now, all you get really is way too much pressure on that one player. And then if that doesn't work out because he's seen as a good player, then people will start blaming the manager again, rather than in this case the sport director, because they're like, well, we signed a big name player. Can't blame the sport directors now. So yeah, but I get what you're saying. But I get what you're saying. Good luck to Gallagher, Fab Bomber Gallagher. Oh, has he? Okay, let me quickly check. Fabrizio Romano. Oh, yeah. Conor Gallagher has just signed his contract until June 2029 as new Atletico Madrid player. No, this one. Exclusive story confirmed. Yeah, there you go. Hello, Joel. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. What do you think of signing Pedro Neto? Just give me a quick answer because I need to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Hit that like button for me. Not that many people here, unfortunately, today, but it is what it is. A lot of other people streaming and everything else, and just me by myself. But yeah, I appreciate all of you ones that have tuned in, really do. So please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. It would be massively appreciated. Of course, if you want to donate and use the super chat function, I'd always massively appreciate it. If you want to become a member of the channel, like Joel, that gives you like a little kind of icon next to your name, which means that I always see your messages and I will almost always pick them out and read them out. So that would be that. You know, if you want to do that and support me, that would be appreciated. Joel says Neto could be good, both wings. Yeah. I agree with that. Tottenham reach total agreement with Bournemouth to sign Dominic Solanke, deal worth up to £65 million. Teams in place on 6-year contract for the 26-year-old striker to undergo medical tonight and tomorrow. Just hoping Osimhen will still come. I doubt it. And you get a bit of income. Yeah, exactly. Appreciate it. Just hoping Osimhen will still come. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that will happen. I doubt it. But yeah, that is baffling. £65 million for Dominic Solanke. I mean, I still thought at the time we shouldn't have sold him all those years ago. Obviously, he was terrible at Liverpool to begin with. It took him years and years to score his first Premier League goal, even at Bournemouth. Now he looks good. But Dominic Solanke, for me, is the best proof that you cannot judge a striker when they're 22, 23. A striker, and Didier Drogba was the same, a striker hits their peak by 25, 26, and then you can start judging them. There's so much to the striker's game that is to do with experience, with just know-how, also filling your own body in physically, alongside experience. Now, Omorodion, for example, has already filled his body in physically. I don't even think Jackson has done that yet. I think Jackson will naturally get a bit bigger as he turns 24, 25, 26. So, yeah, but 65 million pounds for Dominic Solanke is mental. Agreed, Dominic Solanke turning good now, yeah. Let's see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, because I have other things to do, I do need to head off now. Like I said, please subscribe, hit that like button if you haven't done that already. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Welcome to Chelsea, Pedro Neto. Obviously, I'm sure we'll get the announcement in the next couple of days. I'm sure we'll be talking about that once again then, and I'm sure I'll have a few guests on, whether that's Connor, Pice, or a few of the other guys. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I will see you next time.